Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of TalkFlow. Now, this is episode 10. And in this episode, as you guys can see from the title, we are going to be ranking all of the different website builders from Webflow, WordPress, Bubble.io, and all of that stuff. So, and just as a disclaimer, this is just our personal opinions. Of course, we are a bit biased because we are Webflow developers. But we are going to be using our best judgment of all of these. We're gonna try our best to judge everything fairly.
Yeah, don't come at us, WordPress users, please.
Yeah, and if you guys don't agree with any of the stuff we say, you know what?
It's
just
fine.
leave a comment, as in why.
No, just it's fine. Just don't leave anything.
Yeah. All right, guys. So
Opinions.
we're just gonna jump straight into it. Unless Marlon, you have anything else to say?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. Let's
cool.
get to it.
So let me just share my screen. Now, the way this is going to be working is obviously on the top, we got Elite, which is the best of the best.
We know
what's we got Great, which is not there, but it is a great builder.
Close. Yeah.
And then we have Average, which is just meh, you know what I mean? And then Bad is quite bad. And then Delete is the worst of the worst. You know, if you have this, we do not want to be associated with you now. We just want you to
don't call yourself a developer if you use this.
Yeah, do not call yourself a developer if any of your website builders are in this category.
Yeah. But then if it does make you $5,000 or $10,000 every month, go ahead. Yeah. Who cares? It's just us being fun, I guess.
Yeah, guys. All right, cool. So the first builder we have is Bubble.io. So where would you rank this?
Okay,
Bubble.io.
Bubble. See, I've only used it a few times over the whole 2 years I've been on it, mainly just to see what is the difference between it and Webflow. I've never built anything on Bubble, but I know you can build quite a lot of things. If you watch the No Code conference, they did mention you can build like a Twitter clone completely built on Bubble, which is insane. But it's just I think the front end bit of Bubble definitely takes a hit. It's not as intuitive as Webflow. As you can see here, it's very much focused on a web app than a website site. So this is how the back end of Bubble looks on that screenshot. It's very bare bones, very basic, but it is very, very powerful because of the workflows. And I think my best version of like a website builder would be Bubble plus Webflow, which is what Webflow is already doing with their business logic anyways. Yeah, but the thing with Bubble is that it does more than just business logic. It does a lot more like back-end stuff. For me, I think it will definitely go under like the Legend tier because it does one thing really, really
Legend,
well.
Oh, you mean Great?
Yeah, Elite.
Okay, cool.
Elite or Elite?
Elite.
Yeah, it goes up there because for me, I think it does one thing really, really well, which is back-end web app builder, similar to what Webflow does, which is good front-end website builder, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so if you look at like their community tabs or their showcase, you can see a lot of pretty cool, and all of the sites look pretty different to each other. It doesn't look very templatey from what I can see, but there's a lot of like back-end capabilities that you can actually do.
Yeah, and just as like a tool as a whole, it is fairly inexpensive. It's not that expensive. You can see that they have a showcase, a marketplace, an academy
as well. Similar to Webflow,
yeah. So I mean, as a tool as a whole, the actual functionality of it might not be on Webflow's level, but in regards to like the other aspects of the tool, like the community marketplace, it seems like a very solid tool.
Looking at it now, what if you try to build something on Bubble? I think that could be a good content to post down the line, like Webflow developers trying to use Bubble.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, maybe we can try to see whether we can build something we've already built on Webflow on Bubble, or vice versa. Like we can build something on Bubble and see if we could build that on Webflow, just to see what's the best of.
Yeah, if you guys want that, then if you guys want that video to come out, just comment and we can work on that. So I think because I don't want to put Bubble on Elite because Elite there's Webflow on all of these platforms. So
Yeah.
we know for a fact that Webflow is going to go in Elite, right? And I don't feel right putting Bubble next to Webflow. So would you agree to put it on
Why
Great?
though? Why?
Because I don't because obviously we're gonna put Webflow on Elite, right? So I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
don't think that Webflow and Bubble should be both on Elite. Like Webflow is just,
Okay, fine. We can leave it at great, but then we can definitely move it around
perhaps, yeah,
if we
yeah.
change.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Bubble is
yeah,
great. Cool.
great.
Next
Yeah,
is okay, cool. So the next tool is Ceros. So I don't really know much about it.
yeah,
Neither do I Bubble.io, but what I heard about Ceros is um I mean I think Vermalion told me we do use it in, some other projects that it has a very high barrier to entry, which is probably the most downside about it. Although you
yeah.
can make great websites from it, um, I believe that the UI is pretty bad. And I think Vermeulen can elaborate a bit more on that.
Yeah, Ceros, to be fair, I have not heard of it until like this month.
Hmm.
But there are companies built on Ceros, like they just do Ceros websites. And the thing is, a lot of this, I think they are very enterprise focused. So if you go to their landing page, you will see a lot of companies that use Ceros are quite big companies.
Yeah, so I believe like
Um,
Yeezy was on here.
yeah, I see Monster,
Like,
Pinterest.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think Ceros is a more enterprise. See, McKinsey is also
Mm,
on here. So these are definitely not small companies. These are
mm,
enterprise level companies. And yeah, if you look at all the examples, it is very similar to Webflow in terms of its style and support. But again, it is not Webflow.
exactly. Yeah.
So okay, so for not anyone can try this. You have to request a demo, and
Yeah.
and once you're selected, they let you use the software.
Mm,
It is a bit, again, as you said, high barrier to entry. I think the cost is quite expensive as well. Um,
mm,
and yeah, this is certainly not for like an average citizen developer,
yeah.
as Prakash would
And
say.
and
Yeah,
don't you think that kind of goes against what no code is all about, right? Because I think in
yeah,
the Webflow no code conf, they mentioned that they want everyone to be able to access their platform
yeah.
to be able to
The
build
fact that
websites.
we
Yeah.
haven't even heard of Ceros until like this month speaks a lot
Hmm.
about they are very different from what they want to be, which is
Hmm.
absolutely fine. But if you
Yeah.
go to like why Ceros, you will see like it is very very similar to Webflow. It's just not for everybody to use. This is definitely for large, yeah, as you can see, business to business,
Mm,
education. These are like very different. They're very very more focused on industry use rather than
mm,
just anybody go in and build a website for a company or
yeah.
just mess around with it, which is fine. But it does do a lot of pretty cool stuff as Webflow. But again, it is not Webflow in terms of what they stand for.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
yeah, if you go down there, it's like 600 plus brands that use Ceros, and these are like massive, like
Mm,
the Wall
IBM.
Street
Yeah.
Journal, yeah, IBM, Business Insider. This is definitely not. This is like enterprise level no code platform, which I
Hmm.
think I honestly want Webflow to take over it because
Yeah.
then it gives us a lot more option for normal people to work with, like Fortune 500 companies like Snapchat and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, Ceros, although it's not like Webflow, you got to appreciate that they got their own target market.
For me, I think
Um.
how they will manage, how they manage. For me, I'm just speculating at this point, but this sort of clientele, I think it's because people that are in the Ceros team are probably from the industry that have been here for like 15, 20 years. They
Hmm.
have insider connection. They have people working in these companies. I have no idea who runs this company. I have no idea about anything. It's speculation, but I
Hmm.
think it's not like a wild guess to take that people who create Ceros already have these connections with these big companies. They might be ex-employees or something like that. Whereas
Yeah.
Webflow was pretty much built like by Vlad and his brother, while they were in uni. So it's a very different
Mm,
like base where they're starting from. So for me, I would just probably put in average
yeah.
because it's
So
definitely not bad and
yeah,
it definitely
but
shouldn't be
again,
hated.
I think the reason why it can't be on great or elite is because
It's
number
not
one,
accessible.
yeah, it's not really accessible to, the average developer like us.
Yeah.
It's a very high barrier to entry. And secondly, from what I heard, UI is not the best.
Yeah,
It's definitely not
people,
on like
because
bubble
we
level.
know people who use Webflow and then they use Ceros. They always, anybody who use Webflow will say Webflow is better.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
we kind of know like people want to move away from Ceros and they want to use Webflow for bigger projects, which makes sense. So definitely, it's definitely not bad because companies use it and they make money out of it. You can't definitely delete it because if a client, if you happen to land a Fortune 500 company, like if they want to use Ceros, I mean you will have to use it anyways. You're not gonna be like, no, I'm only gonna stick to Webflow. So yeah, average. I think I agree on that as well.
Cool, nice. Okay, I don't know why this is here, but okay,
WordPress.
cool. Wix, Wix.
Right.
Cool. Next is Wix. Now, Wix. I mean, everyone's heard about Wix, right? We get bombarded on YouTube by their ads, unless you've got ad blocker. But
Yeah.
I mean, Wix, it is great, but again, it just does not have that. I think the one thing that is definitely lacking, or is lacking a lot of things, but I think the main thing is creative control. I don't think it allows you to do much with it.
I think in the last 2 weeks ago on the FinSuite's live stream, they mentioned that even in the web industry, Wix has a bad name for itself. Not a bad name in the sense that it's shit or it's terrible. It's just that if you're building Wix sites, you're not technically a developer, which is absolutely fine. But the way they position themselves is not for the developer. It's not for you to run a business using Wix. You can, and I know people who run like quite large agencies just doing Wix sites. But Wix is mainly for your absolute beginner to like build a site. If you have a business,
I think Wix targets a lot of like business owners themselves, like DIY
like
people,
DIY solopreneurs.
So it's not really like for developers per se.
Yeah, and they do have decent templates, and you have decent amount of control to customize it. You can build some pretty cool websites. If you go to their landing page, you do see like quite cool examples. But as I said, it is not for the developer. It is very much for the average consumer who has no idea about Webflow or web or anything like that. They just want something for their company. Yeah, if you look at that one, it doesn't look like a template site, honestly, right? It looks really, very well done. But all you need to do is just change the image and the font and the text, and it looks like a different site.
Yeah.
They have pretty good e-commerce backend as well compared to Webflow in that sense. But amount of hate it gets, I don't feel it's worth the amount of hate it gets because it is not competing with Webflow. But we will get to this later. But Editor X is a direct competitor to Webflow, which I think Wix knows, and they probably will need to rebrand in a certain way to target the Webflow users. For me, I would put it at bad.
I would put it at probably in between average and bad, I would say.
Yeah, I would say if you're relying on Wix to make money, unless it's doing good, I think it's always better to upgrade yourself to like Webflow or something like that.
I mean, I think we could definitely put it behind Ceros, I would say.
Ceros is still a little bit more custom, isn't it? Like you can I think it's bad.
But again, Wix a lot more people have access to it, and I've seen a lot more Wix developers.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? Like it is definitely for the average consumer or like a very small business or a very, very small startup. But as a developer, you should not be like looking at Wix to build a business, unless again you already have something that works great. But if you're coming in and you want to do something in the web, Wix is like the last place you should start at.
Okay, cool. Right? Yeah. So let's just leave it as bad then, right?
Yeah, let's leave it bad. We might change it later.
Yeah. All right. The next one is Google Web Designer.
Just put it up to delete.
Just delete it, bro. Like, I think people, because
people don't know. I don't think a lot of people know about that.
Yeah.
It's hidden in Google My Business. Is it GMB?
Yeah, I believe it's like when you set up your Google Analytics or Google My Business, one of those things, you can create your own website. I've seen a few people do that. Like you just go on there, Google My Business, and you see the website, and at the bottom it says made by Google or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But that, I mean,
Terrible.
it just speaks for
Just
itself,
use
right?
Wix. Just use
Yeah,
Wix. Please
Google,
never
just
use
delete
Google.
Google Web Designer, man.
Just, I mean, if you're at that level, just use Wix. It
Yeah,
looks better. It works better. You have more
yeah.
customization.
I mean, so far everything's pretty equal. Like we've got
Yeah,
one
it's
for
like
each.
one. Yeah.
All right, cool. The next one is
I think
HubSpot.
the white one was supposed to be WordPress. Oh no, WordPress is all the way.
No, WordPress is there, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
okay,
think
cool.
HubSpot.
HubSpot. I've never used HubSpot, but I have used like the other tools. HubSpot actually got a lot of tools. They got like the
It's a
email
marketing
signature
tool, isn't it?
builder.
Yeah.
I think they got some automation stuff as well. I believe. I'm not really sure, but they
They
do have
do.
a lot of
It's
stuff.
like MailChimp as well. Some bits
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
So let's just check out the landing page and see like.
I have seen a company. I worked with a company that moved from HubSpot website to a Webflow website.
Mhm.
HubSpot website is very much similar to. It's between Wix and Google Web Designer. It lets you choose a template and populate the image and the text and stuff like that, but it also limits you like completely. It's absolutely terrible. Yeah, in terms of the customization of it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I would probably put in bad. If you're using it for website building, you shouldn't, because you can definitely easily connect like a Webflow site to your HubSpot backend. But
I mean, I think the main feature you can see everywhere they mention CMS. The main features are probably CMS, which is like I don't think is enough for to make a full-on website. And you can see from their websites as well, like the examples here, they're not the best looking websites. You can tell that it's very templated. And you can just tell by it. It probably does not give you much customization at all.
Yeah, it's very basic. I think it's easy if your whole, because there are like large companies just use like HubSpot on a daily basis. They have like a HubSpot team. Then yes, maybe again everything has a caveat. I mean, if your client is absolutely involved in the HubSpot, everything needs to work in HubSpot.
Yeah,
high chance they want you to build it on HubSpot.
I think a lot of companies have their CRM, like they use a HubSpot CRM.
Yeah, that is fine, but some companies like really, because I know a startup that uses HubSpot, and they have like I think 10 people on HubSpot, like just managing the clients, and they have like very, very complicated like workflows. When a contact form comes here, if it's this country, it goes to this person. If they're out, they go to this person. It's so complicated. There's no way you can build it on Webflow. In that sense, then it comes down to like, okay, if there something that I cannot do on Webflow, I have to use HubSpot. But if it's a normal client, like if you're starting out, I don't think you want to like be called a HubSpot developer. You can make money, but
I agree. Like
I think the CRM is definitely like the biggest feature, not their website builder. I think the website builder is pretty much in the same plane as Google Web Designer. It just makes it simpler.
Definitely.
Yeah, but
I mean, I've seen some websites built with HubSpot. I've seen like clients come to me, or leads, I should say, that want to transfer their HubSpot website to Webflow and stuff like that.
It is tough.
And I've seen what it is, and it is quite bad, to be honest.
Especially if they have like a working form and all this workspace, it's just easier just to embed that form. And you really cannot customize the form as well. They give you like 5 fonts, and that's the only 5 fonts you can use. So if your site uses a different font, you cannot change it. So it's a bit very, very restricted.
So would you agree putting in bad?
As a website builder, yes, it's bad.
Yeah, bad. Yeah, I agree. All right, cool. The next
episode is sponsored by Squarespace.
Oh God!
Sponsor Squarespace. I dare you.
I mean, this is it's a similar one to Wix, where they bombard you with.
Every YouTuber is sponsored by Squarespace. I swear to God.
Yeah, I haven't heard of one YouTuber. Like even like other YouTubers that are not have that.
Even like a cooking, it's like a cooking channel sponsored by Squarespace.
Like what the hell? I mean,
but I think that kind of gets to their messaging. It's very similar to Wix, where it's for everybody, for anybody to build a website.
Yeah. So I think we should just like put it on bad as well, to be honest.
Yeah, again, Squarespace is a bit better than Wix for me, I feel, because their e-commerce is very, very good. They have member accounts, they have e-commerce logins, all these features pretty good. Their templates are actually very good as well. Like
Yeah,
they have
true.
very,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
beautiful template. I think I might put it in average because I know people who actually use Squarespace just like very much similar to Webflow agencies. They're Squarespace agencies. And you do make quite a lot of money just using Squarespace.
Yeah, I mean,
because
yeah,
for me, I think it does a bit better than Wix in terms of how they position themselves.
definitely.
It's better templates. I think the e-commerce is pretty good from what I've used. For me, it's average. Like you can make money using Squarespace.
Yeah.
It is a good platform.
Yeah, I definitely would not put it in the same category as HubSpot or Wix. So I would agree put it in average now that you say that, because I have seen, I do agree. There are
If you
a
go to
lot of
their
agencies.
template page, you can see like very, very nice, very beautifully designed templates. And as a business owner, I wouldn't mind if someone uses Squarespace for my site, because it looks good, it fits my theme. Why not, right? It just works, isn't it? Yeah, if you go to like see, like none of this looks like a template as per se. It's very much designed and then templatized, which is good enough, for some, for a small restaurant or like a small e-commerce store. If you don't have the funds to completely, redesign something, going to Squarespace is like my second option I give people.
Yeah, definitely.
If you have no budget to custom design, just go to Squarespace.
Yeah, I mean, now that you say all of this, like, yeah, I don't think, I think Squarespace is similar to Wix, but it's like Squarespace is just a tad bit better. It's like comparing Webflow and EditorX, right? Like EditorX is the Wix and Webflow is the Squarespace, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely would put Squarespace on average.
Yeah.
Cool. So the next one is Vev, which I think we just found out about literally today, isn't it?
No, I knew it like 3 months ago. Like I looked at it, but I've never researched. Oh, yeah, I see my company there. when you type to me, someone's stalking me. Well, yeah, I've never heard of this before, like 2 months, 3 months ago, until I came across this like via connection. But yeah, I was like, oh wow, this is pretty much Webflow, isn't it? Like the way it looks, the stuff that you can do, even like the screenshot down there, that's their designer. And it's very, very similar to Webflow in terms of the section, you have images, and then your CSS panels is on the right. And then you can export the code, you can save it. There's a hosting feature. It is pretty much Webflow cloned. I don't want to say cloned, but their biggest feature is the code editor. So the design editor is similar to Webflow's designer, and the content editor is similar to Webflow's editor feature. But this code editor is powerful because, as you can see, you can use React code with it. You can build React components and you can use them in your site.
Yeah, which is insane, yeah.
Which is very, very powerful, especially if you have quite big clients or big project where you need to use some code. JavaScript is fine. It's like the vanilla version of coding, but sometimes you need React to make things faster. Or if you're a React developer or your client uses a React solution, you need the access to React, and Webflow doesn't allow that. And this was the feature I wanted to try on Vev. And as you can see, they have componentized animations as well. So you just need to click this on an element and it adds the animation. Whereas on Webflow, you have to go into the designer to do it. You have a code editor within Web, which is what I want Webflow to do one day.
Yeah,
it's to have a proper look at that, man. That's pretty much VS Code.
Yeah, true.
Web,
yeah,
which is very, very complex. If you zoom into like the to the left hand side, you can see it is a very, very very, very powerful code editor, which I think Webflow should really do. Yeah. But I've not seen anybody. I don't know anybody that uses this.
True. Yeah.
Again, I think it's very, very new, and maybe we should try this out as well. I think we shouldn't be sticking to Webflow too much. I think it's good to explore like all these other tools. Maybe one day we can do another video on like Webflow versus Web.
Yeah, I
See what's
mean,
the difference.
personally with me, I literally heard about this today, and
Yeah,
already it just looks so good. Like I would go as far as saying that the UI of it looks a bit better than Webflow, if I do say so
yeah,
myself. You can
it's
see
more
that it's a
clean.
lot
Yeah,
cleaner, a lot more modern.
yeah,
And it's basically Webflow, and but it just has an additional tool of the code editor, which is super powerful. I'm not like a hard coder myself. I don't know much about coding, but I can see how powerful it can be. On top of that as well, um, I mean, if I'm going to be playing devil's advocate, I would say that there's probably a huge learning curve behind this as well. So that is
same with
probably a downside.
Webflow,
But
isn't it?
exactly same with Webflow.
But the
But
thing is,
again,
if you look at it, it looks very, very similar to Webflow.
yeah,
If you can use Webflow, I don't think it's going to be too difficult.
yeah,
Again,
definitely, yeah.
toggles are going to be at different places. It's going to be annoying to get used to it. But pretty much everything is in the exact same space. Like if you look at the CSS panel, the margin and like the text
Yeah.
background,
It
it's
will
pretty
just take
very
like a
similar.
few hours of practicing and just playing around to get used to it, definitely. But I think with people just being beginners and looking for a no-code tool to use, I think
Yeah,
it will definitely be like a huge learning curve, especially
yeah,
with a code editor.
yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. It's definitely not for like somebody who's trying to start. I wouldn't even consider Webflow very easy to begin with, anyways. But yeah, if you're gonna start something, Webflow is like easier to learn than this when just looking at it. But we should definitely try to explore this because
definitely, yeah.
again, I think we can give a lot more like comparisons between all these other tools and Webflow. As I said, what was the other one that we wanted to try out?
I believe it was. Let me see. I think it was Bubble, wasn't it? Or
Oh yeah,
Ceros,
Bubble,
something like that. Sorry, Bubble. Yeah,
Bubble. Yeah.
Bubble.
So maybe we can try to build something on Web and on Webflow, and then we can come and speak about, what's the difference? What do you like about it? And what you
Yeah,
don't like about it? Just to give people, because I don't think anyone does content like this anyways. Like they don't
yeah.
compare all these other tools out there.
And look, just from this as well, it says that you can
Oh
work
wow,
simultaneously, which is
bruh.
better than
We
like
can't
the
even do this
Webflow.
on Web.
Yeah,
Damn, this is within the designer itself.
yeah, which is crazy. Like, yeah, multiple people can do it. I mean, it can get messy,
Yeah,
but
but
this is a feature that
that's so
even Webflow
useful.
doesn't have. So
Yeah, because I can. Oh man, okay, we should try this.
yeah,
I'm adding it
definitely,
to
this
the
looks like
list.
a really, really good option. I'll definitely be
Yeah,
trying this.
yeah.
Again, we urge everyone to not, although we are Webflow advocates, we promote Webflow, all of this
I mean,
stuff.
there's
We
no harm in
brand
trying all
ourselves as
this other stuff.
Webflow.
Yeah,
Yeah, we brand ourselves as Webflow developers. We don't recommend you guys just sticking to one platform. It really like closes off your mind. So
yeah,
definitely like look out and try new things. Um, is not only good for increasing your knowledge, but it's just good to it can open a lot more doors and give you more opportunities. But it's just like
yeah,
learning and growing and just getting used to the whole no code movement. I think it's good to learn about all of these different
yeah.
platforms. But
And
yeah,
we're
we will definitely. I'll personally
definitely try
be
this.
giving
Yeah,
Vev a try,
yeah,
and
we should.
I would
Yeah,
put it in great. To be honest, I haven't used it
honestly,
personally
but it just
because
looks good.
yeah,
Yeah,
it looks really solid. I would definitely put it above Bubble.io, I would say.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So definitely like Vev looks great to be honest.
But yeah,
Cool. Next is we have
can we put
Webflow.
Webflow all the way at the end just to milk the retention time?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Webflow.
it's
It
delete.
has
Yeah,
to be elite,
just
man.
delete Webflow.
Delete.
No,
Webflow.
we're gonna use Webflow at the end.
Yeah.
Put it back down.
Put it
Put it
back.
back down.
Okay, cool. Tomorrow we're gonna be WordPress developers.
No, web developers.
Vev developers, yeah.
Yeah, I think I can go to like the other ones, and then we can come back to Webflow.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
Weebly.
Weebly.
I've seen a lot of websites with like the subdomain Weebly, but
Yeah,
again, I mean,
I've never used it.
I've
Yeah,
seen this website builder. I believe it has been around here for
for
a
a very
really
long
long
time.
time.
Yeah,
It's been here for super long. Look, 2006.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
is
yeah,
very
yeah.
old, and I think it's just been it's just been run out of business, to be honest, by all of the other competitors like Webflow and stuff. I mean, you
Yeah.
can see it's pretty much like Wix. I mean, I think, is that SquareSpace? I think
Square
that is
is like a
SquareSpace.
e-commerce payment processor.
Oh,
We was
sorry, yeah,
like,
Square.
yeah,
My bad,
Square.
my bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's just I think it's a worse version of Wix, because I remember one of my
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
clients, like back in the day, told me that he built a website in Weebly and he had a subdomain with it, and I did check it out, and it is quite bad, to be honest.
It's like abc.weebly.com or something like that.
Yeah,
Or
something like that. Yeah,
weeblysite.com. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I'll definitely
Yeah.
put it
Just
on bad,
bad.
because you can make websites with it,
But you don't. You
but
shouldn't. You
yeah,
should
you
stop.
shouldn't. It's like really, really bad.
Please stop.
It's definitely better than Google Web Designer for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, okay, cool. Next we have Webflow again. Sorry guys, I think I put it
Go
in
back to
twice.
delete.
Cool. So WordPress.
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 Yes.
I mean, everyone knows WordPress, right? WordPress is the most popular, like.
I think the very first thing I built was like a WordPress site for myself when I was, I don't know, 14, 15. I had like a blog for like tech tips. I wanted to be like MKBHD, the Indian version of
Yeah,
MKBHD.
yeah,
But I had like a
MKB.
blog. I think I still do have it. I forgot what was the name. But yeah, WordPress has been here for a very long time, but is it
I
gonna
mean,
still be
it
here?
has.
I think it will still be here. I don't hate WordPress because third of the web is built on WordPress,
Definitely, yeah.
but it is not a competition for Webflow, I feel.
100%. Yeah, like I think WordPress, although is the most popular web platform builder, whatever you want to call it, by far, by miles.
Yeah,
But the only reason is because it was the best option for a really long time until
yeah.
like all of the no-code platforms came out. So when WordPress first came out, it was like the Webflow of today, if that makes sense. It was amazing.
It's
But
open
now looking
source.
back at
Yeah,
it, they have not developed any further than when they originally started, to be honest. They
it's
always just relied on plugins.
it's
So
because it is an open source tool. It is like
yeah.
Android, isn't it? As per se, like Webflow is very much similar to Apple, where it's a closed system.
Mm-hmm.
It's very controlled, and whatever they give is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with WordPress, is open source, it's community built. There's so many plugins. It is
Yeah.
extremely powerful. Like if you want to build like a learning management system or like a course system, e-commerce, WordPress is one of the only ways to do it. It
Mm-hmm.
has so many plugins. You can connect so many things to it. It is also the good and the bad side of
Yeah.
it, but
It's a double-edged sword, right?
yeah,
Knife.
it definitely is. But I wouldn't say it's bad or you should delete it or you should stop using it
Mm-hmm.
because again, there are huge agencies that use
Yeah, with
WordPress
some of the
every day.
biggest are
Yeah,
WordPress
one
based.
third of the web is built on WordPress, isn't it? So it definitely has a space in the market, and they have builders like Oxygen and Elementor, which is very very similar to what like Webflow as visual builder. But yeah, I think if you're building a business, building it on WordPress, it is very difficult because I've heard Rema on like 2 weeks ago on the chat. He said with WordPress, you are very familiar with one stack. Like with this plugin, with this builder, with this things, I can build you a site. But if you give me something else, there's like an infinite amount of things you can connect to
Mm-hmm.
it. And there's like so many permutation combination that you can do with WordPress that you truly aren't an expert on WordPress. You're truly not a WordPress developer because you're an expert in that one single thing that you normally do. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I would say it's average. Don't add me, all you WordPress people. It is decent, but if you're
Yeah, I
building
mean,
a site,
for me personally, like WordPress is a great tool. I mean, I'm not like I'm not saying we're gonna put it in great, but it is a great tool, but it has a lot of downsides. I think one thing that it definitely has is
I think
um,
their blog is actually pretty powerful. Very easy to get started with. As like I got started with it like when I was like 14, 15. That's like almost 10 years ago already now. So it's pretty powerful. I think
yeah.
it still has a lot of relevance to current world. So for me, it's just average. It's not great. It's not. Oh shit! That's my. That's the
Just
very,
some
very,
factors like
very
this.
first thing I've ever built on the web is just this thing, and it's still live. I
Yeah.
don't pay for it at all.
One comment, let's see.
It was my friend who's on the profile.
The first
Yeah, for
iPhone.
example, that comment feature you cannot do it on Webflow.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah, and
this is
this
what
was
we're
done
saying.
like
Like,
10
yeah,
years ago, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, so it's really, really powerful. And as like a
2014.
15-year-old kid, yeah, it's like almost 10 years ago at this point. And if I could do this 10 years ago, you just imagine what if you actually know how to use Webflow, you can do pretty
Yeah,
cool stuff.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, has it lost its
definitely, man.
edge?
All right, cool.
Clickbait.
So I think WordPress, although is great, it's a great platform. I think it has many downsides. Like one of them being all of the plugins. Although the plugins can be good, again, like it can
Again,
it's also
again,
very bad.
if you're building marketing sites, WordPress isn't the best way to do it.
Definitely,
But if you're
yeah.
building anything more complex that requires a lot more back-end stuff, I really think it is one of the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Is the
And
OG.
yeah, I think a lot of people would expect us to put it on in the delete category because
Nah,
like
nah.
WordPress, it seems like a bad word in
Like
like the no code
there's
space, but
people.
I don't think everyone should like think like that.
Nah,
I mean, if you're
nah.
gonna be
Like
realistic,
people.
WordPress is a great tool, but again,
It
it
is a
has a
tool.
lot of
Like
downsides.
all the tools here, you can make money with it. Even with Google Web Designer, you can make
I
money
mean,
with it if
no,
you're
no, no,
good.
no, no, you cannot make money with that, bro.
Yeah, but like all these tools, help you do one thing, which is build for the web,
Hmm.
anyways. So yeah, I really don't hate WordPress. I know a lot of Webflow people hate WordPress, and even
Hmm.
mentioning how do you
Yeah.
switch to WordPress from Webflow on the Facebook group gets you a ton of hate. But I do get it. Some clients don't want to move to Webflow because it is pricey, especially if you're not in the US. Yeah, $16 a month in like Malaysia or India or somewhere in Asia, it is very expensive. Whereas
Hmm.
on WordPress, you can get like hosting for like $1 or $2.
Yeah.
You just
So
gotta keep in mind, who's the customer and who you're talking to. So yeah,
yeah,
average, I think is
average
decent.
seems fair to me.
Yeah,
Cool.
he's definitely in front of Ceros, I would say.
In front of Ceros.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
way more accessible than Ceros.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Ceros is like average towards bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool. So
Ycode is
last one is Ycode, which I believe somebody reached out to you from on it. Is that correct about it?
yeah, like I think they saw like the company somewhere, I can't remember where, but they reached out. I'm on a Slack channel with them. They were like, "Do you want to build anything for us?" I genuinely do, but honestly, the designer, it's so hard to get used to it. I messed around with it. I try to build like something using Ycode, but man, I'm so used to Webflow. With the thing with no Ycode, if you go to their landing page, if there's a screenshot of their yeah, there's a screenshot of their dashboard. It is
Again,
so
it looks
annoying
very
because
similar to Webflow and what's the other
it
platform?
is, but
Vev,
they
yeah.
it's like a chaotic bad because you see the top center is where you
Mm,
get your sections, your div, your text, your image, which
mm,
annoys the shit out of me because on Webflow it's all on the right, or you can use
mm,
Command K and just type it out. So it's so annoying to build for Ycode because it doesn't have the shortcuts. You know what I mean?
mm.
But the layout is pretty much identical to Webflow. Their CSS panel is very, very similar. Their HTML structures exactly the same. The best part of this is the CMS connects direct. You can directly connect it to Airtable, which is very, very
Mm.
powerful. And you can connect it not just Airtable to any third-party database,
Wow, okay.
like Postgres or what's it? I'm not sure if they have MongoDB, but you can. If I'm not, don't add me if I'm wrong. But it is very powerful in terms of their CMS side is very powerful. Yeah, there's Airtable integration directly native, and you can just call, and you can see it on the designer itself. You don't have to publish
Yeah.
it. You can see the live data pulled on the designer, which is quite powerful. Which Webflow can't even do it right now. Um, I've tried to use it for me. I just didn't know. Yeah, and also they already have login features. Uh, if you go up somewhere, where's that? Yeah, they have like you can have member sign in, log in, log off features as well, which is again Webflow still doesn't have it, even though they announced it. Yeah, that authentication, user authentication.
Mm.
You can pretty much build like a course site, sign up, login, password reminders, new password, everything's set up for you. Just a
Yeah.
few clicks and it just works, which is incredible. Like for a startup, I think they just got funded, or I'm not sure. It is very, very powerful on what they can do. It's just that it's very hard for me to get used to the code.
Yeah. I mean,
Again,
I
I
don't know
think
a
we
lot
should,
about Ycode. I heard of it. I haven't used it
yeah.
personally. Like
Again,
a lot of these
honestly,
tools,
I
but
think
yeah.
I think we should start a series just comparing all these tools and
Yeah.
just building the exact same things out on all these different tools and see what's the difference between that and Webflow. I would probably put it in average. It's not
great. I think from the sounds of it, it sounds great.
I think it's
Would
still
you put it
very
in front of
new.
WordPress though?
Yeah, it's definitely in front of WordPress. It
Would you
is
put
very
it
new.
behind bubble.io?
Yeah, fair enough. I think there's a lot of potential with them.
Okay, cool.
Because a lot, I mean, to be fair, they have Airtable integration, they have member login built in. You know, they have like a very similar build designer to Webflow. I think it is definitely one of their bigger competitors out there if they play their balls right.
Yeah.
For me, I think where it lacks is the designer. I think if you can copy Webflow, not copy, but like have very similar structure to Webflow in terms of the shortcuts and all of that, it's much easier to bring people into this platform. Like
Definitely,
if
yeah.
I clicked on Ycode when I first tried it, I would have just kept using it because it has Airtable integration. You can build pretty cool web apps with it, very simple web apps with it. There's workflow as well. There's logic built in. Again, all these features that are coming to Webflow is already in Ycode in their very, very first version. Great is fine.
Yeah, I think okay, cool. Let's just move Webflow from delete back to elite. But one thing that I would say is that Webflow, although it doesn't have as many features as Vev has, for example, Vev has a code editor. Ycode already has user logins and Airtable native integration. Although Webflow is lacking these features, is kind of that's why I 100% agree that Webflow is like the Apple of the website builder space, because even you see Apple, right? You know, Apple
It's
wasn't
not
the first.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they weren't the first phone company to invent Face ID or Touch ID. They waited for the competitors to do it first, and then they just done it better. And I feel like Webflow is the exact same in this case, where other, you know, smaller companies and builders are coming up like Vev and Ycode that have a lot of the features that the Webflow community really wants. But Webflow is taking their time, and slowly they're gonna integrate everything that Vev has, that Ycode has, but they're just gonna make it so much better that these companies, I mean, hopefully they don't, but these companies are just gonna get left in the dust, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah, that's why I
Webflow
put
definitely
Webflow
has a lot of flaws to it. Like I think some of its
Webflow, you said.
limitation. Yeah, it does have a lot of
True,
flaws.
yeah.
It does have a lot of limitations to it. It can be frustrating because you want to build a simple web app that connects to a database and pulls in information. It is so annoying that you have to have 3 stack to do it. Though they have, you know, business logic coming and membership coming. It should be here. It should have been here a long time ago. But I get it. It is a massive platform compared to all of this, except for WordPress. And I think they wanted to test it out properly, which is definitely fine. I get it. There are limitations to it right now that is annoying,
yeah.
like the nested elements. You can have only one, and you can have more than 5.
Like,
but it still does.
Yeah,
but it still does like the front end development thing the best for me. I feel
100%,
maybe
yeah.
it's
the
our
UI
bias.
and everything, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's a bias because that's where we got started. Maybe we got started with Web or Ycode. We might switch it up and say it's elite. And there's a lot of bias that comes from us as well because we have been using it for like 2 years almost right now. So for me, it is elite because we are very aware that it is something that we've used and we know how to use it pretty well. We know all the tools that they integrate with Webflow. But when I first got started, I still felt Webflow was amazing because it was so easy to use, man. Like you don't really need to learn anything. You just mess around with it, just practice, and you get pretty good at it. And the fact that you and I haven't done any course or anything like that, we didn't pay a single dollar for anything, and we still can learn all this pretty quickly. It is definitely really good, and the community behind Webflow.
Yeah,
you know, anything you can search, like you can just search timeline clonable Webflow, and you get some guy from somewhere has a clonable for you that you can just copy. Just to see whether it's possible to do it. Like, you know, if you want to build like a timer that counts down, you just search timer countdown Webflow, and some guy's already done it. So it's so easy, and it's so the community behind it. No, not you, not you, Ceros. Get out. It's just so easy to get started with Webflow.
Yeah, and I think like the whole saying or value behind this no code web builders is making sure that everything that you can do hard coding is made visually, and that whole
Yeah,
process and concept, the best platform, the platform that does that the best is Webflow.
yeah,
And it's not all about the features like Vev. Although Webflow doesn't have the code editor, although Webflow doesn't have the user login, I think just the concept of building websites visually without code or with some like HTML, CSS elements, I
yeah,
think Webflow definitely does that the best because if you're talking about true no code platforms, Wix is a no code platform. Wix isn't truly no code platform where it just requires drag and drop.
yeah.
But again, having that drag and drop concept
You're not
of a
learning
platform,
anything.
it just takes out the whole concept of being a developer. And I
Yeah.
think Webflow bridges that gap of being a no-code platform where you can build websites without code, but
Honestly,
also
if you can
staying
if you
connected
can
to being a developer, if that makes sense.
yeah, if you use Webflow long enough,
Mm-hmm.
at some point when you just look at raw HTML and CSS, you can pretty much understand it. Like
Yeah,
that's weird
definitely.
because we have
Yeah.
never written the syntax for it, but just reading it, okay, it's gonna be this. Here's
Yeah.
the attribute, this the ID, this the class. You just visually you learned it by just playing with it, just visually learned it,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I think it is very, very powerful.
Yeah, and I
And
think
that's
another thing of it is the business aspect.
yeah,
There's so many clients out there. I think there's enough to feed everyone in the Webflow space. There's
yeah.
so many clients out there looking to either build a new Webflow website or transfer their current website. Most of the
The
time is
fact that
WordPress to
you
Webflow.
and me can completely just say we only do Webflow site, even though we only have like 2 years of experience and still make
Hmm.
money,
Hmm.
shows how much money is there to be made with
Yeah,
Webflow. And
there's a lot more. Yeah.
it's not even like this, just the fact that it's now only getting memberships and logic and all the other features that might come down in the future. We are still at the very, very start of like the no code thing and the very start
Yeah.
of Webflow. Even though Webflow has been here since 2015, I think in like 2019, 2020, 2021 is when it actually blew up.
Hmm.
The fact that you can have large companies like FinSuite and Edgar Allen, and you can still have small people like you and me still make a decent amount of money using just Webflow and literally not offer anything else.
Hmm.
That's something I don't think anyone with Squarespace or Wix can say. Is that, oh, we
Definitely.
only
Yeah.
build Wix sites,
Yeah. So yeah, man, Webflow is elite. Cool.
it's the king for
So I
now.
think that's it, right? Let me just
But that
see.
brings, just look at it kind of brings up a question like, if let's say there's a platform that does everything Webflow does and better, would you change? Like maybe in like
Honestly,
3 years or four
it's
years,
it's
like
very hard to say, to be honest.
yeah,
I mean,
would
you can say this the same for Ycode. I haven't used it per se, but like although it has all the features that Webflow has and some more, you can say that technically on paper Ycode is better than Webflow, right?
yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't all
Because
come down to features. It comes down
for me,
to
I'm just thinking like, if you get started with Web or Ycode or all these newer platforms, you have a significant advantage of being the first mover in it. You know what I mean? Like
hmm
Ycode's only been here, I think, from 2019, if I'm
hmm
not mistaken, uh, which gives you significant first mover advantage if you
hmm
can pretty much just build something using Ycode. And the fact that I have a Slack channel with Ycode, like the Ycode team, is already pretty good, but I haven't made
hmm
use of it in a massive sense.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
like
yeah. I mean,
because
again,
now,
like
yeah,
even with Webflow, I do agree. Like the first people with Webflow, the one person that comes on top of my mind is Pixel Geek.
yeah,
Nelson. Like Nelson, he was probably the first person I watched on YouTube in regards to Webflow. He was probably
he
the
has a
earliest
video.
person, and
I
he
think in
got that
20,
first mover
I think he
concept.
was on Reddit on like 2015 or something,
Hmm.
giving a review about Webflow. And that's insane because that's almost 5 years, 6 years. It's gonna be 7 years,
Yeah,
in a couple of months. It's just insane.
yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
It's like I
All right,
wonder
guys.
what in 7 year it could be.
Yeah, you never know, man.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. So that was okay. So I'm just gonna edit this part out. So you wanna do the outro, bro?
Yeah, sure. So okay, let me just note.
Let me just hide my screen. Let me just stop sharing. Go for it, bro.
Cool. Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right. Yeah, that was the tier list for all the website builders. Initially, I think we wanted to do a no code
Yeah,
tier list, but then I think a website builder tier list was easier to compare because they're all playing the same field, yet not really in the same field. Don't add us if we didn't agree with your viewpoint. It's
yeah.
just our opinion, but I think we were pretty fair in the way we listed them.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't hate on anything just because we have to.
Apart
So
from Google Web Designer.
that should that should be delete.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Do you have
right,
anything
guys.
else to say, bro?
So thank you very much for watching. And this was a different style of video. If you guys did like it, make sure to leave a like. If you guys want more of this style of video, let us know in the comments, and we can do it. This is a bit different to our normal live streams. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.
See you.